Okay, brilliant. Well, we've just heard how large organizations are trying to transform from within. What I'd love to explore now is what it looks like when you completely rebuild the model. And Arnaud over here, the CEO of Tikamoon. Oh, hello, welcome, welcome, welcome. Here he is. Tikamoon is a furniture brand on a mission to rethink how we produce, use, and value materials, with a massive vision for shifting, should we sell more, or should we just make things last? And I love that. I'm especially interested by this session, so come sit down over here. A brand and a CEO that I admire hugely. So Arnaud, welcome. Should we get a round of applause? Yes, nice. Guys, people at the back as well. There's a few chairs down here, so if you fancy taking a seat, come sit down at the front. Hello, Arnaud. How are you?
Hello, Joss.
Welcome, welcome. So you didn't start in sustainability, so what changed?
No, I didn't start it in sustainability because, I'm like some people of my generation. I began with performance, succeed, getting engaged. So sustainability came later. But since I was born in a small village and I was biking through the fields to my grandmother's, I always had a green heart. So sustainability came later when I came to connect meaning with my profession.
So did you grow up in the countryside?
Yes, I did.
Nice, okay. And I'm interested to know, did the business push you to sustainability, or did you push the business towards a kind of a sustainable mission?
Basically, the whole management team had some kind of collective shock in 2018, where the kids were in the streets with Greta Thunberg, and where we had the disclosures of the break and the collapse of biodiversity. So we realized that we had to do something. And this is where everything awoken and we emerged. So I began to train myself 20% of my time with a consultant on sustainability. And we devised our strategy, which is called Tika Green. And it took us 5 years to get to where we are here, even more, 6 years. And all this came from an awakening about our products. Basically, I think that when you're an entrepreneur, you have a responsibility and you have the possibility to do something about people and planet. And for us, it was a great start because we realized that our main material, core material, was the solid wood. And solid wood is nothing more than captured carbon that has been slowly captured a long time. So it's a very precious material. So we needed to care for this piece of wood as a precious material. And all this came there. We then thought that we could not be virtuous if the pieces of furniture wouldn't last at least as long as the renewal time of the future tree that we replanted.
Okay.
So all these thoughts came step by step in our minds.
Okay, and so interestingly, we've had some great guests here who've been around for a long, long time. When did you start the company? And how big is the company now?
We started in 2010, and we began 5 of us. Now we are 250 people, over 100 million revenues, and we're selling in 10 countries right now.
I think that's a really, really great context for everyone in here. You don't have to have set up as a B Corp or a B Corp pending organization with a specific set mission, or you don't have to be a real big heritage company with lots of money to transform. Things can transform over time. Now, you said you spent 20% of time with a consultant. Let's flip that slightly. You actually spent 1 day a week, right? Looking at walking the walk, not just talking the talk. And that's quite a unique thing, I think, for a CEO, especially in a growth journey like that. When did you see the transformation from sustainability not just being this belief that you might be talking about with a consultant to being central to your business decisions? And was there a moment where you had to make, I guess, especially tough decisions to balance the books whilst morally pushing for this new kind of type of work and a new mentality?
It was progressive. And you're right, we did not begin a B Corp company. We began a e-commerce and a sustainable company in the sense that we were selling solid wood pieces of furniture. But we did not dare telling it because there were so many people doing nothing and speaking so loud that this annoyed us, and we didn't want to be in this posture. So we wanted to make things right, and at one time we decided to speak up. We made our green coming out. But we wanted to do things right. We wanted to measure and then communicate. We didn't want to do a green video in a forest. So we wanted to do things right. So we invested in measures, carbon accounting with Chapter 4, Carbon 4. We invested in life cycle analysis. We invested in one EcoNote, which is a rating of our products. And then we talked and we got into partnership with many companies. And this came step by step. We also followed the climate convention for corporations. We call in France Convention des entreprises pour le climat. And of course, a training by Lumia on regenerative economy. And then we came to realize that it's so nice to build pieces of furniture, but we need to make them last longer and at least till the future tree, the following tree is ready. So for a teak, it's 40 years. For elm, it's 60 years. For an oak sideboard, it's 100 years, for example. So we needed to upgrade our pieces of furniture and make trade-offs. And it becomes real when it begins to cost you something. When you make trade-offs about quality that you need to increase to pass the cut of 100 years, that you need to improve the treatments, you need to improve the upholstery, because our pieces of furniture are delivered already assembled with traditional craftsmanship. But we had to remove from our collections some items that would probably not last 100 years. So that's a real cost. We did choose the FSC certification. That's a real cost. So it needs the commitment and the belief of a CEO to take these kind of decisions, and it needs hard negotiations with your co-shareholders.
So I work in marketing, and all of that sounds amazing. Certainly making fewer products that last longer, it sounds great. But how does it actually work commercially? You know, you're reducing lines. I can imagine your products then have a larger cost. And I guess, you know, when you're doing that, how do you convince the board and investors who might have different perspectives?
It's sometimes difficult because we have a financial partner in the shareholders. So we have to give them the long-term perspective. Because if you say, one of the mottos I have is buy less often. You know, like Patagonia, don't buy this jacket. Patagonia is a model for us. So when I say to my financial partner, we want to buy less often, they are not in a good mood most of the times. So we have to explain that we have a very, very small market share. So we want to convince our customers that they are buying long-term pieces of furniture. And this is what's appealing for them in terms of quality and longevity, but also for the planet. But we went to an obstacle, which was it was difficult for us to sell that, and we realized that people do not want pieces of furniture for 100 years. So a series of challenges made us develop a new feature. And that was because we were slowly, the green ocean, the blue ocean, green ocean. The blue ocean was turning red. And most of the time, people were not sensitive to the green arguments, the green assets. So we devised a new proposal, which was how to help our customers change their pieces of furniture so that it is not a headache to, once you have a Tikamoon piece of furniture for 10 years, you would like to change, or you move and you would like to change. But it's a headache to make an ad and everything. So we devised Circle, which is a new proposal that is a lifetime buyback warranty.
Okay.
With a coupon that would enable people to change their pieces of furniture, give it back, change, and this puts us in the real regenerative way, because we want the pieces of furniture to pass from one hand to another, from one owner to another, have several stories, and we understood that selling a furniture is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of a story for us. And this will change our business model. And we changed the way we measured our KPIs. Instead of what is the margin for this sale, it's what's the margin over time, because we will interact with the customers each time he would need to care, repair, and change. So we begin a long-term relationship with the suppliers, with the customers, and our dream, our ideal, is when the world will be filled with sustainable furniture, we won't need to produce anymore.
That's really interesting. I mean, that's some pretty visionary stuff. And you've also answered my wife's biggest question, because she goes and window shops your Instagram, which is totally beautiful, by the way. If you haven't followed Tikamoon's Instagram, definitely do that. She window shops at least twice a year, and you've always got so many beautiful things coming out. And it's great that that's a system that you're looking at. Let's fast forward then. Let's fast forward to that vision. Let's go to March 2036. That's quite a long way away, 10 years. So, how does that work? If you get this right, what does Tikamoon look like in 10 years' time, if that model comes to life?
I think that designing and producing new pieces of furniture will be just a part of our business. We want to launch a new paradigm, which is furniture as a service.
Furniture as a service, okay.
And there we will have, in Europe and in the US, and maybe in larger areas of the world, pieces of furniture that we would care for. We would care for the furniture, we would care for the clients, so that our business will be some kind of product lifetime extension business. So my dream or vision is to set up circular hubs in every big city in Europe, where you could put your give it back or repair and care, and some woodworkers would come to your house to repair and set the pieces of furniture if you have a problem with your drawer, for example. And our business would be more a service business than a selling business. And maybe in 10 years, where the raw material will become rare or expensive, wow, we will care for producing from fresh wood. But what we would do is to take care of the wood we already produced. And, like urban mining, ultimately, like urban mining of copper, for example, or metal, maybe we would enter into an age of urban mining of wood, of planks, and we would recraft the planks to another piece of furniture. This is already what we do in our circular hub next to Lille in northern France, where we achieved a zero waste objective, and all the pieces of furniture that come back are restored and recrafted.
What would the industry look like if all of the key players did that? Would the industry even work?
I think that it would mix the cards. It would be a change. Maybe it would be more difficult for us, but it would be great for the planet.
Yeah.
So I would love our competitors to follow, maybe with the increasing price of wood, and this will happen. But I think it would be a very good, or the law, maybe the law would change. We are in advance, so if we are the first to set up all these circular hubs in Europe, we will be in advance. But it's not a problem if everybody enters into a recycling business instead of linear producing business.
Very interesting. So in the audience, let's see who we've got here. Hands up if you are a CEO or on a board at a company. We've got some hands up there. We've got some hands up there. Employees of companies. Yeah, okay, so we've got a lot of employees. We've got a few CEOs, few people in the board. Any investors in the audience? Okay, there's a couple of people. They're going to get swarmed after this one. Okay, we've got 2 minutes left, Arnaud, and I want you to give some value-added tips. So let's start off with the CEOs. If you could give one tip to other CEOs or leaders in organizations here, what would it be?
Take time. Deep things, deep visions, take time. It took us, training and sessions and working together in ecosystems to redesign and change the vision. Deep things take time. So take time to train yourself and devise the vision. And then explain the vision. This is the mistake we made at one time with my CSR leader. That was, we were too much in advance in our dreams, didn't communicate enough. So communicate to your teams. And maybe another one, stick to your resolutions. Even when the ocean turns red, if you can, you have to talk a lot, communicate to your shareholders, your board. Maybe also one other idea would be change the denominator. Instead of revenue per sale, revenue per customer lifetime, which changes everything.
Well, that's your e-commerce background that's coming in there. And what about the employees? So there was a lot of employees of companies here. What one tip would you give to employees in the audience to drive credible transformation in their roles when they perhaps might not have that decision-making ability?
I would say speak up, join associations, join professional associations, and as far as I am concerned, it has been 5 to 7 years since we have this green reputation. The young people that come to our organization, they are all green lovers. They came for that. So we cannot push back and set back now. I'm pushed forward. Sometimes it's hard because you are between these green employees and the shareholders. But employees have a huge role because they have the power of ideas, of communication, of thoughts, and the responsibility to push their managers.
And I would mirror what Colleen said from Accor, speak in the language of your kind of decision makers and senior people. Well, look at that, we've run out of time, unfortunately. Arnaud, it was great to chat, genuinely. It's such an exciting company. I think that we're going to see Tikamoon as one of those blueprint case studies for years to come. When you said that you want to be the next kind of Yvonne Chouinard-esque figure in your industry, I definitely believe it. So can we have a round of applause for Arnaud at Tikamoon? Thank you.